Okay, we've all been there, right? You get this burst of inspiration, you decide you're going to eat healthier, you're going to exercise every day, you're going to finally stop procrastinating. But then, a few weeks, maybe even a few days later, you're right back where you started. So why is making a real, lasting change so ridiculously hard? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into the science of why we fail, and, more importantly, build a toolkit of strategies that actually, truly work. And look, this isn't just a hunch you have. The numbers are pretty staggering. A study found that 92% of all New Year's resolutions end in failure. So if you've ever felt that frustration of a goal just slipping through your fingers, you're not alone. Not by a long shot. This isn't some personal failing. It's a human thing. But here's the really good news. The problem isn't that you lack willpower. It's that you've been fighting an uphill battle without the right strategy. See, success isn't about just gritting your teeth and pushing through with brute force. It's about understanding the weird quirks of your own brain and using specific, science-backed tools to build habits that stick. And that's exactly what we're about to do. Build your personal change toolkit. So, here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about hacking your fresh start, just to get over that initial hump. Then, we'll get a little sneaky and learn how to outsmart your future self. After that, we'll cover how to build momentum that's basically unbreakable. And finally, we'll lay out the whole toolkit so you can see it all in one place. Ready? Let's get into it. All right, part 1, hacking your fresh start. This is all about tackling the 2 biggest reasons a new habit dies before it even gets a chance to breathe. The simple act of not starting in the first place and, well, just plain forgetting. You know this feeling, right? It's the first major roadblock. You're what you might call a non-starter. You know exactly what you want to do, but for some reason, taking that very first step, it feels like trying to push a car uphill. The motivation just isn't there to get the engine running. So here's our first tool for the kit, the fresh start effect. This is so cool. It's basically about using time as a secret weapon. See, our brains love a clean slate. So when we use what scientists call temporal landmarks, think the first day of the month, a Monday, a birthday, it creates this psychological break. It's like turning the page to a new chapter, which gives you this natural boost of motivation. It's why starting a diet on January 1st feels so much more powerful than starting it on like a random Tuesday in April.
Okay, so maybe you've cleared that first hurdle. You started. Awesome. But then another barrier pops up that's just as common. Life gets crazy and you just forget. Those great intentions, you had to meditate for 10 minutes or go for a walk, get totally buried under emails, errands, and everything else.
The solution here is a super powerful but really simple technique called implementation intentions. It's just a fancy name for an if-then plan. So instead of a vague goal, you get hyper-specific. The formula is if X happens, then I will do Y. For example, if I brush my teeth in the morning, then I will immediately do 5 push-ups. You're literally linking your new habit to an old one. You're taking memory and willpower completely out of the equation and putting your habit on autopilot. Let's move on to part 2, because this is where we get really clever. We're talking about outsmarting your future self. This is all about working with your brain's natural biases, like procrastination and its love of instant rewards, instead of trying to fight a battle you're probably going to lose. Ah, procrastination, my old friend. We all know this one intimately, don't we? We know we should go to the gym, we should start that report, but that future version of ourselves, they just don't want to cooperate. It's this endless war between the good intentions you have right now and what you'll actually do later. So how do you beat that future slacker you? You use what's called a commitment device. You're basically setting a trap for your future self to force them to do the right thing. It's simple. First, define your goal really clearly. Second, put something at stake. Money works wonders here. And third, get a referee, like a friend. A classic example, you give your friend $100, you tell them, you can only give this back to me if I go to the gym 3 times this week. If I don't, you donate it to a political party I absolutely hate. All of a sudden, the pain of procrastinating is way bigger than the pain of just doing the work. Now, a close cousin of procrastination is our brain's love for instant gratification. Our brains are basically hardwired to want rewards now. They'd much rather have the immediate pleasure of scrolling through TikTok than the distant, fuzzy reward of, say, becoming fluent in Spanish. The shoulds almost always lose to the immediate wants. This is where a truly brilliant strategy called temptation bundling comes in. Just look at these 2 columns. You've got your shoulds, the stuff you need to do, and your wants, the guilty pleasures. The idea is to link them together. You only allow yourself to binge watch that hot new streaming show while you're folding laundry. Or you only let yourself listen to your favorite true crime podcast while you're on the treadmill at the gym. You're pairing the boring task with an immediate reward, which makes the chore itself way more attractive. It's genius. But hey, what if the task isn't something you're just putting off? What if it's just mind-numbingly dull? Sometimes the barrier isn't complicated at all. It's just laziness or a total lack of motivation, because the habit feels like a chore. And let's be real, who wants to add more chores to their life? The tool here is as simple as it is powerful. Make it fun. Seriously. The secret is to stop focusing so much on the long-term benefit and instead find a way to inject some immediate joy into the process. If you hate jogging, maybe you find a beautiful new trail to explore. If cooking feels like a drag, put on an awesome 90s playlist and have a little dance party in the kitchen. These tiny tweaks can completely change your perspective and turn a dreaded task into something you actually look forward to. Okay, so we've gotten started, we've outsmarted ourselves. Now we get to the real test. Part 3. Building unbreakable momentum. This is all about the long game. How do you stay on track when life inevitably throws a wrench in your plans? I bet you know this exact feeling. You have a plan to eat healthy all week. Then you eat one slice of pizza on Wednesday night, and that little voice in your head goes, well, that's it, the week is ruined. Might as well eat the whole pizza and start over again on Monday. It's this all-or-nothing thinking that turns one tiny slip-up into a complete derailment of all your progress. This is a real thing. Researchers actually call it the what the hell effect. As you can see, your plan was 5 gym sessions, but after you miss Monday, your motivation just plummets, and you figure what the hell and do 0. The tool to fight this is to manage these slippery slopes by being flexible. The new rule isn't never miss a day. The new rule is never miss 2 days in a row. One mistake is just an oops, it's a data point, it's not a disaster. Get right back on the horse tomorrow. And that brings us to our final barrier, feeling alone. Trying to build a new habit when you feel like you're the only person on earth doing it, it can be so draining. We're social animals, and trying to go it alone is just plain hard. The answer is to use our social nature to our advantage. The tool is called social influence. Do not underestimate how powerful this is. Find a friend to be your accountability partner. Join a group where your new habit is just the normal thing to do, like a book club or a running club. You could even just ask a friend you admire for advice on your goal. Studies show that simple act alone makes you more motivated. Tapping into a community can literally be the difference between quitting and succeeding. So, let's bring this all home. Part 4, your personal change toolkit. We're going to do a lightning round review of all these powerful, science-backed tools you now have at your disposal to make change finally stick. So let's run through it. If your problem is just not starting, use the fresh start effect. If you keep forgetting, create an if-then plan. To beat procrastination, lock yourself in with a commitment device. For that pesky impulsivity, try temptation bundling. If the task is just plain boring, find a way to make it fun. When you slip up and feel like quitting, remember to manage that slippery slope. And if you're feeling lonely or unmotivated, lean on the power of social influence. See? You now have a specific tool for every major barrier that stands in your way. Because here's the thing. Real change isn't about some massive, heroic leap. It's about knowing which tool to pull out of the toolkit for the right problem, day in and day out. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you have the full toolkit, what's the one barrier in your life that you're going to tackle first?